want to talk today about some cultural concepts within the Catholic Filipino community, right? Um, as you know, the Philippines is one of two predominantly Christian countries in Asia, right? The other one being East Timor, which is our neighbor in Southeast Asia, right? Who happens to also be trying to be a part of ASEAN, but that's another story. Anyway, within the Catholic religion, we have this concept of godparents. Now, before I begin, I'm going to talk a little bit about religion in the Philippines, because the Philippines has maybe three types of religion. You know, you've got obviously your Christians, right? And your Christians, most of them are predominantly Catholic, right? That's one type of Christian. The other Christians can be like, or Seventh-day Adventists, right? Or Sabadistas, Protestants, Latter-day Saints, what else? There's like so many other, oh yeah, your Jehovah's Witnesses, Iglesia ni Cristo, Church of Christ. There's so many types of Christians in the Philippines, but Catholics are the main type. I mean, I have an aunt who is Methodist, right? Metodista, but she doesn't really practice it. She goes to Catholic churches, which is kind of weird. Anyway, that's one. The other religion is Islam, right? And the type of Islam, I think, is Sunni? I think it's a Sunni. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Shia, right? But I don't know. There's different types of Islamic branches, right? But the ones that you hear a lot more are Sunnis and Shias. I don't know which ones the Philippines has. I just know they're Muslims. And the other types would be like your regional, indigenous, animalistic, shamanism kind of religions, right? So you've got a mixed load of religions. Even the immigrant communities that come in, such as, you know, the people from India, the people from China, they bring on their religions too, right? So you have like Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, so many others. Even the Jews who were refugees brought their Jewish religion with them. So there's so many religions in the Philippines. Anyway, this video is just going to talk about the concept of godparents within the Catholic Filipino community. And just a disclaimer, I am Catholic. I am a cradled Catholic, so I don't practice Catholicism actively, nor do I really believe in God. So that's just my disclaimer. It's like I don't really believe or anything like that, you know. And I'm non-religious, so... But in the Philippines, we have so many people who are religious, and you will probably stumble and come across them. Now, godparents are one of the things that you will be asked one day, maybe, to be a godparent of some sort of child or a sponsor. When a child is born, one of the first sacraments they have to do is the Sacrament of Baptism. Out of 7 sacraments, the first one is baptism. So, what happens when you get asked to be a child's sponsor? Well, you become, if you accept, you become the child's godfather or godmother, depending on your sex. And the ways we can express that for godmother is maninay, right? Maninay. The masculine form, maninoy, right? And other words that relate to maninay would be madrina or ninang, right? And the other word relating to maninoy would be ninong. These are words that came from Tagalog and borrowed from Tagalog. So, you can, if you hear those words, then yeah, they would be godparents to someone else, right? So that's what it means. I mean, I don't really have a godfather. I am a godfather, so to my cousin's little son. So I am a godfather, so he would address me as Maninoy. He's actually amang, which, as we know, we learned it is mute, right? So he has a disability. So he can't really call me Maninoy, but I am his Maninoy. I am his godfather, right? And I myself actually have some godparents too. I don't think I have any godfathers, but I do have godmothers, right? At least 2. One of them's my aunt, which surprisingly is funny. But I would address her as Maninay, or sometimes Ninang. Okay, Maninay. Godmother. Right? And what about these people? What makes them so significant? Well, in the Philippines, because of religious records, the Catholic Church likes to keep records. So they keep your baptism certificates, right? And on your baptism certificates, they have a space where there's a sponsor. And who is the sponsor? It's going to be the maninay or maninoy that they have to write down and say that they are the godfather or godmother, right? So that's why. Again, the Catholic Church does keep records of these things, so that's why I'm putting it out there, because there will be a chance that you might be asked about this. All right. Moving on. So the concept of amin, right, or amen, amin or amin, yeah, amen. Remember that e is an allophone. Okay. So amin is just this hand gesture of respect, which is they take the hand or the opposite side of the hand, the palm, which is the back side of the hand, and they put it um, against the forehead, right? The forehead of a young person or a person who is younger, right? Now this is a sign of respect. Okay, so I would take the if I see an elder or someone older than me, and I don't know them, and I would greet them, I would say, amin, amin, right? So they would, when they hear that, they would take their hands out like this, and then they would give it to me, and then I would take their hand and then put it into or I guess just tap it on my forehead, the back side of their palm or the back side of their hand, and tap it onto my forehead, right? And that's what we call amin in Cebuano, right? Amin. In Tagalog culture, this does exist, but it's known as mano po. Okay, so I think most of you might know that with the Tagalog media. It's known as mano po, but in Cebuano speaking areas, we call it amin. The Chamorros and other ethnic people who have this kind of culture of taking the hand, they have their own words for it. I think in Chamorro culture, it's just mano or something like that, which means hand in Spanish, la mano, right? La mano. It's feminine for those of you who don't know. But other ethno-linguistic tribes who also adopted this culture of amin have their own word for it and probably have their own rules. I know the Chamorros have their own rules about which sex can do what and whatnot, and I don't know. But for Cebuano speaking cultures, the culture or the custom of amin is for all elderly. Even if you're 60 and you're gonna greet somebody you don't know who is 80, you're just gonna you're gonna ask for their hand and say amin. So that's just one sign of respect, that if you don't know somebody and they're older than you got to do that. I don't know what else to talk about here, but yeah, those are just some cultural aspects with Filipino culture that may be an FYI.